What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is a documentary called This Changes Everything. Now, this one comes from Good Deed Entertainment. It is directed by Tom Donahue, and this documentary tells the story about the film industry in Hollywood and the kind of gender disparity between men and women, and how the history of how women were primarily dominant in the silent film era, and then we kind of go up until now where a lot of them are kind of shut out from a lot of potential, jobs, and there's just not that many in the industry, and why is that, and all that stuff. And so this movie kind of explores that, getting testimonials from several actresses across the board, and even some guys as well, showrunners, actresses involving like Reese Witherspoon, Meryl Streep, Tiffany Haddish, Chloe Grace Moretz, and even some older ones. It's like they got a lot of people to be in this documentary, which is one of my biggest pros about this documentary, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I had no idea what this was going into it. I'm a fan of documentaries. I'm also a fan of Good Deed Entertainment, so what's up, everyone that's watching this from Good Deed or the filmmakers that are involved. They've been on a hot streak for me lately. One of my favorite films of the year so far, To Dust, that is distributed by them. Fantastic film, check that out. And Storm Boy, very good film as well. So it's like they're on the rise for me. So whatever they want to throw at me, whatever they suggest, I will most likely take up on their offer, because they've distributed some good films so far. So with this documentary, I will say that I like it. I think it's a good film. I wasn't blown away by it, but I was impressed by one specific thing. Tom Donahue, the gentleman that directed this, and I will say that documentaries are not easy to do, and a lot of documentarians, myself that wants to someday get into that field of making one, you gotta do your research. You gotta have receipts. You gotta back up with your information. You gotta have examples. And you can't just sit there on camera and blatantly say something and not have any like real backup or whatever, because the testimony can only go so far, right? So if you have certain accounts or stuff to back up these claims and these testimonials, it just makes your movie a little bit more credible, and all the people that just deny out there, it's just like, well, they're showing us like kind of evidence on this. Like, it's really hard to say that like, no, there's no gender disparity or gender gap in Hollywood with pay or discrimination based on job selection. There's just none of that. It's just like, no, watch this movie and you will see how much of a disparity it is. And it's really kind of shocking. It's shocking and just kind of opens up your eyes to, something that's not just in the film industry. This is in every job. There's going to be some people out there that discriminate based on sex, religion, age, gender, whatever, and it's just it's heartbreaking. And you don't want that to happen, but it happens, and this film highlights that in a very gross way, because you're just like, why is it like this? But it is what it is, and all we can do is just hope for progress in the future. But what Tom Donahue does is that he pulls from a lot of different movies. A lot of them. Silent film era. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Films of today. Children's films. Adult films. Like R-rated films. Not those... just TV shows. Just whatever. And it makes these points that all these actresses are saying, like, I was around a set one time and they didn't really know how to write female characters, or, I was on a set and I was the only woman working on set, or they treated me bad. It's just like, I believe these actresses. I believe everything that they're saying, and it's gross that they have to be in those type of environments. There needs to be some type of protocol, which is a question that this documentary kind of raises up, is like, why isn't there like an HR person on set? And there could be, but maybe this stuff is slipping by. And so a lot of, film compilations and film clips that Donahue pulls and makes his point, makes the testimonials point, and just makes this movie kind of elevated on that level. And so the research quantity and quality of this documentary is superb. And I really appreciate that. If you're going to make something like this, you need to show all the evidence that you can. And of course, Gina Davis has a huge part in this, with her institute doing all this research on like kids films and like how many like women or girls were like the lead roles and stuff. And the numbers are pretty shocking. They even dive into, people of color or, younger people, a little older. Like they kind of like, they start out with women getting the back end of like the industry and really just feeling the wrath of that. But they kind of like dive into like, women who are also maybe black or Asian or Hispanic. And so then you start to open up your eyes even more going, wow, this is a huge problem. And it's not something I was completely unaware of, watching these movies and kind of growing up with them. But when you actually see a documentary that sheds light on this in this way, it is pretty shocking, and there needs to be something needs to be done about it. But yeah, I love the fact that Donahue was willing to get as many people as he could for this movie. Theater exhibitors, even different artists in the industry, directors, writers, costume people. He got everybody, and just showing the full range of what everyone's thoughts are on this problem is pretty staggering. And even with someone as powerful as like Meryl Streep or like Reese Witherspoon, who are in this movie, they just talk about growing up in this industry and like, yeah, they're seeing progress, but it's just like it's not enough. Like, especially some of the stories that they had, like when she was on like Kramer versus Kramer, or like with Reese Witherspoon on certain movies and stuff. It's just that's why she created her own company, so she can hire more women and have more women-led roles and stuff. And it's just it is inspiring to see that people are noticing this problem, even with that. At the Reese Witherspoon or Meryl Streep level and doing something about it. Excuse me. And so I think it, like for an hour and a half runtime, it's very like it's direct and to the point. There's no padding involved with this documentary. It tells you like it is. It does extreme research on it. I didn't even know about the whole silent film era thing on how like it was dominated by women. And then, like, there was a switch, once sound, like, speaking roles started to come out in Hollywood and stuff. And so it was eye-opening. And it was very informative. And that hour and a half just felt like a brisk little watch. And I really appreciate that. So it's not overstaying its welcome. It's just like Donahue got in there, got out, and was just like, this is what I want to present to you. And there you go. And so that's pretty much all I can say about it. I think it takes it's a solid look at this problem. It's a solidly made film. It's not anything that blows my mind. I've seen documentaries that my jaw is to the floor after I got done seeing them. But this one is a good documentary. Nothing special about it, but I think if you were unaware of this problem or you wanted to know more about it, definitely watch this because it's definitely some information that needs to get out there, and there needs to be a change in, give more jobs to more women out there behind the camera and not just, costume or hair or whatever. Like, have them be cinematographers because there's really not that many cinematographers out there that are women. More directors. I mean, with Catherine Bigelow winning Best Director in 2009, she was the first one in like almost 100 years. Like, it's crazy. And so, yeah. So I like the documentary. I know a lot of people are going to kind of connect to it more. And I will say this. As a straight white male, I will never understand or even connect to the problems that women face or people of color face, or even when you're a woman who is a person of color. I will never understand it because of who I am. but I can empathize with it. I can understand why these documentaries are made. I can understand why there is a push for diversity, and I love it. I want there to be more diverse things in Hollywood. And if you can have stuff like this documentary or other ones that are probably going to come out, then great. Push that. Make it more diverse. I'm almost 30 years old. I've seen a lot of stories with a straight white male in the lead. It'd be nice to have someone else take that turn and take it more often. So, like I said, I can't understand, and personally connect to the problems that are going on, but I can empathize with it, and I can sit here in this review and tell you that I advocate for everything that they say in this documentary and pushing that diversity. I love it. Keep it going. But a great documentary nonetheless. I typically don't really have too many diverse grades for my documentaries. I either say it's bad, it's okay, or it's good, or fantastic. So since this is a good documentary, I'm going to give it a B, solid B. I think it's a solid watch. It's not anything that's going to change your day, but it will get you thinking, and it will also really give you hope that there will be change in the industry. So, I like it quite a bit. So if you've seen This Changes Everything, please let me know down below, and you can. I'll have a link down below to where you can get tickets for it, and so there you go. This Changes Everything from Good Deed Entertainment. That will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.